Hello there, Monster here. Today we're looking at how to connect the Teenage Engineering OP-Z to the Elektron Digitakt. And actually it's pretty straightforward, so we're just gonna jump straight in. First thing you're gonna need is one of these guys. What is this? This is a USB to USB-C adapter. The Digitakt comes with a regular USB cable, kind of those like we've seen for ages and ages. And what we need to do is convert this to something that the OP-Z will connect to, and that's the USB-C. So I just picked this one up off of Amazon. It's the Amazon Basics. I think it was $8 the last time I checked. So let's just go ahead and connect that there, and we're just gonna pop it into the OP-Z. And that is in, great. So that's the only hardware connection we need from the two. Now the OP-Z is connected to send MIDI to the Digitakt. Now how do we do that? Not very hard. If you saw the video on how to connect the OP-Z to the Digitone, basically the same thing, but we're gonna go ahead and run over it now. Super fast. Go to our settings, we're gonna go to MIDI config. Check out our MIDI, we're gonna go to sync, and I have it configured to receive clock from the OP-Z. The OP-Z is sending clock, the Digitakt is receiving. So that one's checked, and down here on program change receive, I've got that enabled, although I'm not really sending program changes from the OP-Z to the Digitakt. I'm keeping it pretty simple for this one. So let's back out a level and go to port config. Beautiful. Okay, there's not much we need to do here. We just need to make sure that input, it's the fourth option down, input is from USB and MIDI. So if you see here, you can set it to just MIDI, you can set it to just USB. We want USB and MIDI. Just makes things easier. You don't have to worry about anything. Cool, that's all we need to mess with from there. Let's go back a level and check out our channels. Now the channels I have configured in a way that made sense to me for the track that I was making. Basically we have 1 through 16 tracks on the OP-Z. Your first 4 are your percussion and samples. Your next 4 are the instrument channels on the OP-Z, the bass, the lead, the ARP, and the chord channel. And then you have some controls things for sending out lights and data and other cool stuff. I've got it configured for the sounds that I'd sampled into the Digitakt earlier. I found some stuff. I had some piano samples from an old vintage shop that I'd found, and a couple other random things that I grabbed from a drone synth on Instagram, all kinds of stuff. So on track 1, that's Digitakt track 1. That's the way that works. Track 1 here into the MIDI that it's listening to from the OP-Z. So on track 1, this sound is a super low pitched piano, and I have mapped it to be the 5th channel on the OP-Z, and that's gonna be the bass. So if I hit that, that I think is the native pitch of that sample. Great, so that one's ready. Nothing to do there. But since the Digitakt, every channel is monophonic, you can't play 2 notes at the same time on any channel. So you can't play chords. So if I have this piano, I can't play chords, it just plays 1 note at the time. And I wanted another note to kind of do a duophonic thing with the piano. So the next channel, I had another sample of that same piano, just pitched a little differently. And it is configured to number 6. So my first channel is mapped to the bass, my second channel is mapped to the lead. So if I switch over to that, beautiful. So now, those 2 channels are mapped to the OP-Z. So channel 3 on the Digitakt is this sound. The drone synth I found from Instagram. You can kill that. You can kill any sound on the Digitakt, all the sounds. If you want to chop it off, hit stop twice, kills them. Good tip. So I've mapped that to my chord channel 8 because that made sense to me. Beautiful. So kill that sound. That's where that one's mapped. I know that on channel 14, that's the component channel. You can see it lighting up here on channel 5. I just had these sounds kind of mapped to whatever way that I felt made sense to the track that I was making. And that's really all the MIDI config you have to do, is basically whatever track you want, 1 to 8, and then you just come over here, use this channel knob E, I think A works too, and just move it to select the channel you want. That's all there is to it. It's really, really simple. Here's something you may want to know about. If you saw my video connecting the Digitone to the OP-Z, you just plugged it in, everything worked beautifully, no problems. When I was setting up for this video, I actually had some issues getting the 2 to talk, and I set things up exactly the same. I was like, what's the deal? This worked beautifully with the Digitone. What's the deal? Digitakt is basically the same hardware. I forgot about a setting, and this one, because I was trying something cool a couple of months ago, it caught me out. You may have heard that the Elektron boxes have this thing called Overbridge, which is super cool because it'll stream all of its internal channels via USB into your computer as audio. So cool. I was playing with the beta and I configured it to talk to my computer and I forgot to change it back. Let me show you. We're gonna go into our settings, we're gonna go down to System, and we're gonna go to USB config. And in there are two options, Overbridge mode and USB MIDI only. I had mine set to Overbridge mode because I was playing with the Overbridge beta when that first came out, but I forgot to turn that off and put it back to USB MIDI only. And that was the thing, because if you have Overbridge mode on, the OP-Z is not gonna work for you. You're not gonna get anything out of it. So that's very good to know. Before I got this video thing set up, I loaded this full of samples. Some we talked about earlier is that piano sample, those guys right there. The drone synth, that was something I randomly found on Instagram, I think. Guitar sample, that's the same guitar sample and it's shortened to do a single cycle waveform. And this one I believe is a backwards guitar. It is. And it's just that little guitar lick there. And on 8, I've got this kind of rhythmic thing happening from one of the single cycles that is loaded in the Digitakt already. If you didn't know, there's a whole library of just single cycle waveforms that you can basically use as a synth on the Digitakt. Super cool. So I just kind of loaded this thing full and decided, let's have a jam. Here we go.